as we welcome everyone, I think everyone really needs to anticipate now that the peaks and troughs of real estate have become very compressed, extremely compressed. For those of us that have been in it for some time, it used to take 3 to 6 months before we saw a gradual slide, and then you realize, oh yeah, we're going backwards, and then of course a gradual increase. These peaks and troughs have been compressed enormously. So the changes we're seeing is almost from week to week. And as real estate agents, we need to be aware of that, and obviously being informed of market sentiment, media commentary, because everyone's got access to the information and everyone's making quick decisions because of it. But we've got a few people on at the moment. So I just want to welcome everyone to, again, another Black Salt virtual training session. Of course, today's session is building the A team, and the lead agent's E.B.U. It's something that we're extremely passionate about, and it's something that I know is the future of real estate, and it has been for some time. We've given it a great title at the moment, haven't we, Arthur?
Well, we certainly have. Manos, I'm looking forward to today because building your team sometimes takes a bit of courage. You've got to take that leap of faith sometimes. And I think it's like anything, it's that first 30 seconds of courage. You meet someone, you get that feeling for them, you're selling yourself, all that sort of stuff. So today I'd be really interested to see what you've got there for us, building the A team. We've done it for quite some time. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's share our screen. So long as we've got, everyone can see that. And of course, everyone can change their view from speaker view and in their galleries and so forth. So just be aware of that. So I might as well just get straight into it, guys. Yeah. So as we said, today's session, it will go for likely the full 90 minutes.
Fine, stop. Yeah, good man. We are 3-1 now in B2.
That's
and
all right.
if you can get people on mute, Arthur.
Yep.
Your job, and you take care of the chat box as well. That'll be great. So, and I've also got, can you come in and wave to everyone, because everyone's looking at me going, so can we give a big wave and shout out to Steph, who does all our branding for Black Salt, and she does an amazing job. And make sure, and always tell her, make sure you get my right side, not my left side. So, but I'll leave the jokes to Arthur. Okay, team. 90 minutes. We're going to go. It's really intensive. There's about 40 odd slides to go through. And again, love some interaction, love some questions. There's no question that is out of the ordinary. I'm sure we've had it before, and I'm sure if you're thinking of a question to ask or a challenge or how do we do this, I'm sure half the other attendees are thinking the exact same thing. So let's get straight into it. We'll just get the, here we go. A big shout out, of course, as always start with our industry partners. And it's interesting, we're talking about an effective business unit. We talk about the people in the team that make up your business. And our industry partners are our extension of our effective business units. And yes, there's lots of moving parts to our business, but everyone that touches your business is part of your effective business unit. Don't think E.B.U's only in the entitlement of 2 to 3 people. Yes, they're micro, we manage them, but every person that touches your E.B.U, as I'll share in these slides, form part of your business. Okay. Agents, big reminder, team. We've hit over 100. We have got a capacity at this year's Black Salt, and we've already sold over 100 tickets. So our capacity, it's not extended to hundreds and hundreds. Our capacity is around the 250 mark. So if you haven't booked your tickets for Black Salt 26, 2nd and 3rd, please do so. I'm not sure if the
website is live.
The website is live, but the early booking.
Early birds are finished.
Early birds are finished. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so reach out to any of our team if you need some help with that. But please book your tickets in, because once we're at capacity, we're actually at capacity. And look, the big thing about this year's sessions, it's 2 days, Day one is strategy and inspiration. We've got, well, I think there's over 20 speakers for the 2 days. Day two is implementation day. And this is the big change that we've made compared to last year. Implementation day is going to help you actually put the processes in place. And we've got some phenomenal sessions on day two for actual great takeaways you can add to your business and your sales business straight away. So super excited about that. Okay, session insights today. There's 7 of them. We may get through them. We should get through them all, but we may possibly miss out on the last one. It is an extensive one, remuneration and bonus structures, and it is an intense one. So if we do go overtime and people do want to stay for number 7, by all means, we might have to do another session for that, because it's probably the hardest one out of all these insights. Remuneration and bonus structure. What is fair and equitable in the setup of an effective business unit? How does everyone get paid, and what does it need to look like? And doing this for over 20 years, I can tell you there's never been a one size fits all. There's never the perfect formula. There's never the perfect structure, because everyone's business is so different. Everyone's marketplace is different. Everyone's commissions are different. Everyone's service delivery levels are different, and they all play a role. Everyone's structure is a little bit different. Some people are working within an office. Some are solo directors. Some are in partnerships. So again, never a one size fits all when it comes to remuneration and bonus structures. But let's get straight into it. What type of agent DNA do you have? And I think in the 20 odd years that I've been doing this, your agent DNA has more bearing on your success than what most people think. People think that real estate is about process, and which it is, consistency, which it is, frequency, which it is, sending the right message, your values, which it is, but it all starts with your DNA. And the ones that I see achieve their goals, and whether they're lower volumes or high multi-million-dollar or big offices or big rent rolls, it's all about your DNA. And really understanding the type of person you are really will help you build your business. And I outline it in these 4 things, or 5 things that I've really noticed about the agents who really build an amazing, effective business unit. Number 1, playing the long game. Agents who are successful and play the long game, they have that delayed gratification. It's a question mark you should be asking yourself. Do you have delayed gratification? A lot of agents come into real estate and they expect immediate results. They want to drop 1,000 letterbox drops, or they send out their assistant to do 1,000 letterbox drop, and they're waiting for that listing to come through, and it just doesn't happen. Burning the bridges. Are you all in? This was a turning point for our career, because when we first got into real estate, for the first 12 months, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I hadn't burned the bridges. I wasn't in love with the industry because I wasn't very good at it at the time. And I had to learn to become extremely good at it. And once you become really good at it, guess what? You start to fall in love with it. And when you fall in love with this industry, you go all in. So I encourage everyone to really think about that idea of going all in. And I was speaking to someone who was in their 70s yesterday. They've been doing real estate for 50 plus years. They started when they were 18. And this individual is still going, still loves it, and doesn't need to do it, but still loves it, and is all in. Really interesting conversation. Know everything or want to know everything. That's a big one. Know everything or want to know everything. Big difference, because a lot of people come to training, they go to 1 or 2 training sessions, say, what else is there to learn? But we all know that one of the key habits of success is always sharpening the saw. And being a perpetual learner is absolutely critical. And obviously I'm speaking to the converted because that's why you're here today. financially disciplined or scattered. Again, I use a term called, do you have your house in order? Because when you have your house in order, you can line up all your ducks and then you can reverse engineer what you need to do to achieve your targets. And more importantly, do you have the abundance or scarcity mentality? Do you get knocked off your perch when you lose your listing, or lose a listing, and you're thinking to yourself, this isn't for me, there's no more listings out there, scarcity, why is everyone, there's too much competition, etc., etc. So you've got to have that abundance mentality. Last one, critical one, what's in it for me only? If you have that mentality, then you're going to be challenged, right? It can't be like that. You need to invest in the team you work with, and you always have to think win-win. So I encourage everyone to look at these 5 DNA types, and then from there, ask yourself, what stage of your business are you at? Are you in apprentice stage, tradesperson, or practice? And I'm not going to go into this in too much depth because we do this in the sales agent business planning sessions and so forth. But everyone's got access to the workbook. Go to this workbook, section of your workbook, and try to understand, are you in the apprentice, tradesperson, and real estate practice? And if you want to move, if you're in apprentice and you want to move over to being a real estate practice, this is the session that's going to give you the framework and the to-do list, more importantly, of getting to be a real estate practice. Okay. Chaos to alignment. And this is the whole purpose of an effective business unit, a team, a one-team model. An effective business unit provides a structured framework that amplifies an agent's capacity to scale their business. That's the whole purpose of it. To improve service delivery and ultimately achieve sustained growth. So a lot of the times people think they're going to build their team and suddenly their profit's going to skyrocket. And yes, it is a result. It is a result to increase your profit. Absolutely, there's no question about it. But that's after the fact. That's a result. That's an outcome. Providing fantastic service and service delivery gets you the outcome, which is more profits. And these are the outcomes. We get more sales, more GCI, which equals more profits. There is a caveat on that because sometimes there is the law of diminishing returns, and some people face that where they're actually doing more volume, they're actually making less money because the capacity in the marketplace and or the capacity of the team is beyond where the profit margins are. But that could be a story. It's good to get to that point and realize it, and then you can scale back. And I've seen a number of people do that. But more sales, outcomes we're looking for is more sales, more GCI, more profit. Here's a big one. Meaningful freedom and flexibility. And I put in the meaningful part because everyone talks about freedom and everyone talks about flexibility, but meaningful freedom is this. And this is an important one. Meaningful freedom is when you do take a week off, you know that you have a team behind you that's picking up the slack and picking up all the phone calls, all the day-to-day stuff that happens, so you can actually have meaningful freedom. There's no point saying I'm going on a week, 2 weeks vacation or a long weekend, and you're looking at your phone and you get that anxiety because, far out, who's speaking to my vendors, who's speaking to the buyers, who's doing the deal, right? So this is the beauty of an effective business unit when structured correctly. Meaningful freedom and flexibility. Improved client services and experience. I've already spoken about that. Less leakage and missed opportunities. I'll give you an example of one of the simplest things people can do to actually avoid missed opportunities. Ask for referrals. Now, when you have an effective business unit and you have team members, you can amplify the way you, inverted commas, ask for referrals, because there's so many touch points. If your buyers and your immediate sellers being your paying customers, clients, have more touch points from other team members, there's more opportunity to have meaningful conversations and conversations that extract referral potentials. And this is a big one. So people think of E.B.Us as just task driven. I also look at it and taking care of pointer boards and taking care of callbacks and taking care of, you know, the stuff that a lot of lead agents get bogged down on. But this one, it's less leakage and missed opportunities because they put a structure in place with every one of their team members to ask for referrals, and hence less leakage of leads. More market share means more leads. So we talk about becoming an attraction agent, and it's never been more important to be a prominent, dominant force in your marketplace. We know the top 3, 4, 5 agents in a marketplace, inbound calls become easier. They really do. Now, I know some people may not aspire to be the number one in a certain marketplace, but what I encourage is you may not want to be $1 million agent. You may want to be doing 24, 25, 30 sales a year, but concentrate those sales in a smaller area so you are the go-to person in that small area, whilst you may not have that digital footprint of being the top 5 in a larger area. So again, more market share means more leads. Less pressure. It's all up to me, better performance. It's the ability to work better when you have a team surrounding you, because they become your go-to people. I mean, for us, it's Arthur. Like ours is absolutely, I mean, we've got an amazing team around us, but our immediate go-to person is Arthur. When I've had a hit, it's Arthur that I go to. And of course, the rest of our team, but predominantly Arthur. He's just across the road from me, so it's a little bit easier. When he has a hit, we've had a couple of hits this week to do with property management. Who does Arthur go to? He comes to me, right? He goes, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. So there is better performance and there's less pressure. It's all up to me and to bounce off ideas. High value work, specialized focus. We'll go into detail of that a little bit later. Here's another one that a lot of people talk about. What's the cost? What's the cost of putting on team members and running an effective business unit? The first thing I would say to someone who thinks like that is change language to investment. What's the investment required? And that should apply to everything that you do. That should apply to your marketing that you do. If you're, for example, you know, your REA banners, if you've got the REA banners in your marketplace, letterbox drops, social media, it's an investment. When you start thinking of those advertising channels and you know, the expenses in your business as investments, the first thing you do as an investor is what? What's my return on investment? You start measuring it, thinking of it differently. Plus, you have that abundance mentality, not that scarcity mentality, because you need to spend to receive as well. So here's the other. So when we talk about fee justification, everyone talks about, well, am I going to go from 2% to 3%? And I encourage everyone to be a bit more strategic. We understand the fee pressure there is out there in the marketplace, especially in New South Wales and Victoria. We are being punished, right? Absolutely punished in regards to where our fees sit compared to the rest of the country. But it is what it is in regards to our marketplace. So as we always say, learn the rules of the game and then play the game better than anyone else. So I encourage everyone, even if I had a business planning session with one of our new officers just recently, and we talked about fees, and I said, think of a 0.18% increase. So go from 1.8 to 1.98%. Doesn't have to be 1.95, go to 1.98%. That 10% increase worked out to about $1,530 in extra GCI for the sale, right? Now, this particular person was doing approximately 30 sales per year. That's an extra $45,000 in GCI that will contribute to one of your E.B.U team members. So, and again, when you walk into the listing presentation, you can justify your value proposition. Mrs. Vendor, you're not just getting me, you get the whole team. And it is a powerful message. Accountability and responsibility. Again, it's one of those, look, as business owners, we've been business owners since the age of 21. And there's something special about taking people along a journey, especially a business journey with you. And the hires that you do, the people that you meet, and there is a responsibility that we have to these people. We fund a lot of their lifestyles because obviously they deserve what the work, because they don't come to work and do nothing, right? So they contribute to the business, but it brings you accountability and responsibility. Just that alone gives you consistency at work. Okay, so sometimes we need that little bit of I can't get out of this. My employee is at the office. I need to be there with them instead of maybe I'll rock up a little bit later in the morning. Okay, so accountability and responsibility. There's a big tick in regards to getting that structure in place and a commitment to be doing high value and focus work. Okay, and of course the ultimate is real estate does become easier. So I'm super excited with our Black Salt event in December. There's so many speakers, but speaking to a number of them, and especially as I mentioned, day 2, in regards to being able to leverage your campaigns, leverage your OFIs. Speaking with one agent who's actually going to do OFI, perfecting the OFI, and we're going to have a mock on stage of what the perfect OFI is, what are the perfect questions, who does what in the roles, what does the host do to prepare the home, and how this agent only works about 25 weekends out of the 52 in the year. So looking forward to sharing that experience at Black Salt. Okay, do the numbers work and add up? This is a really simple one to do. What capacity does your market have for an effective business unit, right? There is only so much market capacity in every marketplace, whether it's $1 million GCI, 5 million, or $10 million GCI in any calendar year. If the GCI is not present, i.e. sales turnover, you've really got to be aware of that. So you don't structure an E.B.U that the capacity to actually do 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 sales is just not there. Okay, so really have an understanding, and also understanding volume is vanity and profit is sanity. Get that sweet spot so you're in profit. So these are the things that you need to understand from a financial point of view, from a market perspective. The numbers, the market statistics, so that an effective business unit actually works. So market size and volume, analyze transaction volume and market share for potential growth. My understanding, and it does vary from market to market, because commissions, the average commission across Australia at the moment is about $15,500 plus GST, so it's about $18,000. Some marketplaces are a lot lower, some marketplaces are a lot bigger. Okay, so, and of course, the larger the fee per transaction, the more gross margin you have to afford to have the E.B.U. Okay, so it's horses for courses, remember this. Okay, and what I have understood though, it's a minimum 3,000 to 5,000 homes. If you look at it as a rule of thumb, you need to be servicing, if you intend on doing at least 50 sales, and my recommendation for an effective business unit, you are talking 35 plus sales, right, before you have your first hire. And depending on the support services that you have from the offices that you work in, you need to have at least 35 transactions annually. But to do that, you need, and then obviously above that, 3,000 to 5,000 homes, and also you'll have the overflow from your transactions within that core marketplace. The next one, competition. Assess the success of competitors running teams and identify service gaps. A lot of people don't do this, but if your marketplace has a lot of agents that run E.B.Us, there's a sign that you should be running an E.B.U. And if those are the successful E.B.Us, right, then the oxymoron of that is if you have a lot of agents in your marketplace that don't run E.B.Us, stand out, become an E.B.U, create an E.B.U, and be a point of difference. So again, assessing your market and identifying who's doing what is really, really important. Price points and commissions. Ensure property price and commissions are high enough to support a team. Guys, if you're at a price point that's in the low teens, 10,000, 11, 12,000, it's much harder to be running a team of 4 people than someone who's got average commissions of $18,000 to $15,000. So you need to analyze who does what in your marketplace. And again, the service delivery to those clients will be very different to someone that's picking up 30, 35,000 in GCI, which is a lot in the $1.5 million bracket. Okay, so be aware of that. Client demand. Check if client service expectation require more team support. There are some marketplaces, right? There are some marketplaces that don't support, or the client's expectation is not to be working with the team. It's the solo agent. And there's a number in our local marketplace here that it's just the solo agents. In those instances, it doesn't mean you can't build an E.B.U, but you just might not need full-time people to assist you. You might be structuring it just a little bit different and just having after-school assistants and virtual assistants to help you with your business if you want to be doing more volume. Personal capacity, and this one's a big one, right? Consider if you're stretched thin and need a team to grow. So there are some agents that I've seen that can do 50 sales in a year and not blink an eye. They run it really, really well. I've seen it a number of times. They're not run off their feet. They're very process driven. Most of the time they're attraction agents. So they get a lot of inbound leads. They've structured their prospecting to be on autopilot. That's the big one. So they get that streamlined inflow of leads. Okay. So personal capacity. If you do not have the capacity to stretch yourself and do the work, number one, look at hiring a team. But if you don't have the capacity to manage a team either, consider that. And it goes back to your DNA, right? And there's no right or wrong. I'm not saying those people that don't want to build a team, they're doing anything wrong. On the contrary, if they know what they want, they're doing the right thing. And that's the most important aspect of creating an effective business unit and external partners. Are you leadership fit? Building an E.B.U is not for the faint-hearted. You are likely to go backwards before you go forward. Every single person I've spoken to, whether it's the C+M residentials from our team, we're doing hundreds of sales, whether it's Joel Hood, who we know has had an extraordinary journey from starting a cold start, doing $1.5 million in his first 15 months, and then to write 2.8 million in GCI in his third full year. Everyone says you go backwards a little bit before you go forwards. So understand the commitment that it takes to lead a team and be leadership fit. And these are the blockages. Lack of leadership skills. Managing people is different from being a solo agent. And those of us that run businesses will really understand that. Fear of delegation, difficulty in letting go of tasks and losing control. You gotta have faith. When you put people on, you need to have faith in people, and sometimes you have to let them make mistakes because that's the only way they learn. It is part and parcel. And I know a lot of people who are absolute control freaks, and they're really dedicated to clients. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be, and you need to hold up that standard. But when you bring people into your team, especially brand new ones, and you're coaching them and you think mistakes will happen, remember, we have a knowledge base that's taken a long time to establish. You've got to give credit where credit is due, and you've got to be patient and play the long game, as I mentioned earlier, and support these people to grow. So again, delegation is an important one. Unclear vision, no clear team goals or structure. Our team know exactly, like whilst we don't run a real estate E.B.U, we run a business E.B.U. and we've got all the fundamentals in place, just like every other real estate agent, every team member knows our goal is 325 officers in X amount of period, hashtag 1,000 agents, which equates to that. Everyone has a goal. Everyone knows what our target is, and you need to do the same thing. So, for example, the first thing you should do is if you're at 50 sales per year and you go, okay, I'm bringing on, and say you're doing it with one other team member or two team members, bringing on the third team member, there should be a clear strategic goal with the maths and the market statistics in place. And so we're going from 50 to 100 or 120, whatever that stretch goal is, and have a set plan to achieve that. Because it is all just about numbers, and the numbers is how many extra appraisals can you do on a monthly basis, how many more belly-to-belly appointments can you have to go from 50 to 120, because that's the magic number. But the thing is to increase those belly-to-belly conversations and appointments, you need a team behind you to be taking care of the stuff. That's why I talk about from chaos to alignment. Financial concerns, hesitation to invest in team salaries and growth. Again, abundance mentality or scarcity mentality. You need to be investing, and you need to think of it long term. And again, I've got some great strategies to share a little bit later in regards to what does it actually cost out of your pocket to have a team member. Hiring issues, bringing the wrong people, or cultural mismatches. Sometimes people think that they've hired the right person, but a lot of the times they haven't. You know, that old saying, hire slowly, move on quickly, right? So we need to be conscious it does take time to bring the right people and be culturally aligned. Inconsistent systems, lack of streamlined process or smooth operations. Again, you've got to do a lot of grunt work, a lot of grind work before you bring on a team member. There is absolutely no point bringing in a team member to organize you. Like I'm telling you, it just does not work, because if a team member comes in and they're floundering because you don't have any structure, that's not on them, that's on you. And the biggest sign you can tell, right, the biggest sign that we can tell of people not having structure is there's a high turnover of personal assistants. If you've got a high turnover of personal assistants, I can almost guarantee you inconsistent systems, right, would be one of those key points that will be letting your effective business unit down. Time management, struggling to balance team leadership and personal sales. And again, this is a great one, but the strategy here is when a lead agent brings in a team, one of the best hires that you can do, and I'll talk about who you should hire, is actually a team leader or team manager. A team leader and team manager actually manages the business. The lead agent or the business owner of the E.B.U should be the one that is client facing, the one out there hunting for business, the one that's generating the revenue. The team manager frees up the lead agent to be able to do that and takes a lot of the weight off the lead agent's shoulders. So knowing that all the stuff is still being done. Because one thing that we know in real estate, there's a lot of guilt that agents have because they want to provide an amazing service to their clients, but they're juggling so many balls, and they know they miss phone calls, they miss ticking the boxes and their processes because they're just doing too much stuff. And look, I've been guilty of that and likely to continue to be guilty of that. But again, if you're aware of it, you can obviously bring team members to start plugging the holes. Okay, which brings us to job roles and tasks. Any questions so far? Arthur, how are we going? How's the chat going?
No one's written in the chat, mate. So take a breath and.
All good?
Yep, let's keep going.
Job roles and tasks. Detailed, documented task job roles. And I often get this question. Do you have a list ready for me? All right. Do you have a list for me? Surely it's the same for everyone. And guys, I can tell you right now, it's not. There's never a one size fit. There's certain tasks and we've got them all in our workbooks and so forth, and we'll share a little bit of that. But you need to make your own tasks. Every business is very different, right? So defer the temptation to bring them into your world of chaos before your task list job role is documented. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, okay? And it doesn't take that much effort. People think it takes a lot, right? So this is what everyone should be thinking about. If you're the lead agent right now, right, and or team leader, this is what the most important aspect of your role is. Client relationship, build strong connections with sellers and maintain clear communication. Number one, listing presentations, lead the listing presentations, manage pricing strategies and handle negotiations. The other thing here, by building an E.B.U, right? Because a lot of the times we put these details up here and everyone thinks, well, I can only be the one doing listing presentations. The shift we're seeing, the training we're seeing in effective business units is that more than one person can do the listing presentation. And more importantly, a team manager and a buyer's agent can easily take on a listing presentation when the lead agent is not there. And that is the ultimate freedom that you will get. There is nothing like building a team that works as a one-team model that you know can take on a listing presentation without you being there, edifying you to be an absolute rock star, and that vendor signs on the dotted line and you're not even in the lounge room, right? And that does happen. Okay, strategic decision-making, oversee listing strategies, marketing, business growth decisions, quite simple, delegation, assign just as much of the operational tasks as possible to team members, ensuring efficiency, focus on high-value activities, lead generation. Now, lead generation is everyone's responsibility in an effective business unit. You may not have the title of being the lead generator, the prospector, and so forth, but if you're a team manager, a client services manager, or a buyer's agent, everyone is responsible for lead generation. And there are certain touch points in a sales campaign, in a process that we can ask for that. So even from your letterbox droppers, from your telemarketers, everyone should be in lead generation. Marketing oversight, supervise marketing plans for each listing to maximize exposure. So this is the lead agent's major role. And of course, mentorship and performance tracking, train and mentor team members, review KPIs and targets. So that is a lead agent's role. Nothing there about going to photography shoots, nothing there about attending finance, bank valuations, and building and pest. There's none of that. There's not, the lead agent's not putting up pointer boards. The lead agent's not out there letterbox dropping. Lead agent might be doing door knocks for OFIs, depending again on the size of the business, right? But everything that you can possibly outsource to your team is absolutely critical. All right, the 28-day assistant planner. As I mentioned before, right, show of hands, or put it in the chat box, right? And let me know if anyone has downloaded every single workbook and gone through every single page that's available to you on the Black Salt portal, and or our AA members go directly. Has anyone gone through every single page? If you haven't, that will be the first thing I would do after today's session. All right. The structure that is in place in these workbooks has the ability of 2xing your business. Not only that, and this is the big one, is if you're operating an E.B.U and you have other team members, those team members' first day at work should be going through page by page every single one of these books. All right? It's critical because the way they're laid out, and I'm super excited about the upcoming Black Salt session, because of course, as always, we will be updating all the workbooks. We've already updated the workbooks. The Hustle Playbook is having a major overhaul. It's including our listing, our lead generation activities, our prospecting schedules, our team planning meetings, the sales campaign timeline. And look, I might be jumping the gun here. There is For those people, I've got a smile from Steph. You can actually say it. For those that know, we've just launched our Stellar One program, which is our internal sales listing trust accounting program. But we have got a component for it that we're making it available through the Black Salt team. That the Hustle Playbook will become a digital version of all your appraisals and listings, and then your lead generation. More importantly, your client engagement strategy, being able to send digital cards and handwritten cards through the system itself. So that's going to be a bit of a game changer for everyone coming up to Black Salt. We don't know if it's going to be ready for the Black Salt. It'll definitely be ready by first quarter or second quarter of next year with all the integrations. But there might be an MVP, minimum viable product in the market at Black Salt, and it'll be obviously available to every Black Salt attendee. All right. Who do you need on your team? So one of those workbooks is the 28-day assistant planner. It is tedious, but it's one of the most effective analysis of what you need in your business. So when you go through your 28-day assistant planner, you'll have a whole bunch of stuff that you want your administration manager, client care manager, or your buyer manager, or the lead agent to do, your prospector, whole bunch of activities. This is the trick. I don't want you to think of an individual doing a particular role, like the buyer's agent. What I want you to think of, all the tasks that have to happen in your business, right? On a day-to-day basis. It is a different logic to the traditional way of running a business. And the reason I say that is you're going to bring in team members that will have talent in certain areas. Just because you might say they're a buyer's agent doesn't mean they can't do some admin work as well. And vice versa. If you bring in someone that does admin, does not mean that may not be able to do some OFI hosting for you. Okay, so it's all about tasks and then finding the people that are going to do the tasks. Titles come later. So go through that workbook, and then the other thing to do is to go through the sales campaign timeline. We are going to go in depth through this at implementation day. So we're going to go through the sales campaign timeline and really touch on all the points that are the signposts and the real needle movers along that sales timeline process that will help you generate more leads and, of course, elevate your service delivery and your client experience so you can get more referrals. And try and put a structure in place that's automated. So that will be a great one. But if you haven't gone through this, we know what the steps are. So for example, you do an appraisal, there's a few outcomes that come out of that, right? The first thing we need to be doing is the after appraisal reports and digital analog. So if you don't walk out with a listing, you do an after appraisal report. You add it into your appraisal listing sales book chase list. That's a hustle playbook. You can also have, if you work in an office, and whether you work in an office or not, you have a director's colleague follow-up, right? So again, are you going, as the lead agent, will you be doing this? No. If you're a lead agent, you want a colleague to ring up, you can even have your client services manager ring and say, hi, we had a step came out yesterday, and obviously excited to view at home. I'm just following up to see if we can be of any further assistance. Having a follow-up call by an E.B.U member is as powerful, if not sometimes more powerful, than you following up yourself. Does that make sense? So this is how I want you to start thinking about your effective business unit and what they can do, and plus get those processes in place. And then you might have a junior that comes in, you might lose that listing, and then again, your client services manager will be writing out the thank you but disappointed card. Takes it off your plate, you put it through there. You can also have a director's follow-up or a team member follow-up. Where did we go wrong? Where did Arthur go wrong in his listing presentation? Did he crack too many jokes? What was it? Right? So to dig deep to find out. And again, that gives you the opportunity. One of my blogs that I sent out some time ago was make it easy for people to call you. And that's what an E.B.U helps you do. make people, and that's a, how about we put that on silent? Okay. So yeah, so make it easy for people to call you, right? So that's important. Okay, moving forward. So go through that timeline. There's some invaluable gold in there and just making it as a checklist. The beauty about having it in a timeline like this, you can this is part of the structure that you put in place and say, hey, my team member, we need to have a 30-day buyer check-in referral request or the weekend after, right? When's the weekend at first? The seller follow-up, first weekend after settlement. Who does that? So you have a structure now in place, just using this diagram that you can direct your team as part of the listing process. Sometimes people actually just print this off with every sales campaign, and instead of having the sales campaign timeline up there, they just print it off. They write out number 1 Smith Street listed, and then they just go through the whole process, and then they just tick, tick, tick. Yep, we've done the Just Appraise, we've done the VIP OFI invites per campaign. So saves, it's visual, and again, you can highlight what you want to do as a team member. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, the perfect candidates, right people, right roles. The agent's E.B.U is an incredible profit and lifestyle structure. But this is when it becomes that. When you hire for the role and tasks, and then titles come later. Okay, titles come later. One of the big things that we're encouraging people not to be saying assistants, not to be saying my PA, not to be saying, because we want to elevate everyone. If you take anything away from today's session, it's this. Elevate everyone to be exactly the same, equal value. I have my buyers manager, I have my client services manager, I have my lead generator or my go-to person, whoever, whatever role they play in your business. Just don't say they're your PA, because this is important, right? If I'm a vendor and I'm paying you $20,000 to sell my home, I don't want to be known that you've just handballed me to my PA, to your PA. Does that make sense? So it is important to elevate your team to the status. They're professionals in what they do and in what they deliver to the, obviously the sales campaign to get a fantastic result and experience for your vendors. So just remember that. This is the one I get the most pushback from. Whenever I speak with anyone who's looking at building their business, it's not a step. I don't want you to be hiring people as a stepping stone for them to be to create their own sales career. I know it sounds wrong, but it's not. When you create your effective business unit, I want you to think long term. I want you to think, if you're going to be doing this for the next 10 to 15, 20 years, I want you to think that your effective business unit is going to be with you for that whole period of time. And we know the most successful effective business units are units that hire the right people at the right time with the same aspirations and who don't want to leave to start their own business. Yes, people do change lifestyle choices, people change their mind, I get that. But one of the first questions that I'd be asking in the interview, if I was hiring a particular person for a specific role, do you aspire, it will be this, do you aspire to become your own independent sales agent? And I'll also clarify, don't answer yes because you think that's what I want to hear, because I'm actually not looking for that. Because if you do, this is not the right role for you. This is not the right role for you, because you want someone that's going to stay with you for the next 10 years. The best person to hire for an effective business unit is someone who's so skilled in regards to give attention to detail, is a team player, loves being part of a team, loves the energy of a team, provides great service, is articulate, right? And never wants to be a salesperson. Because sales is not cut out for everyone either. And sales agents, like, you know, we've been sales agents, we're a different breed as well. We want someone that's going to bring stability and consistency to our effective business unit. So it's a really big one for people to understand. It's not a stepping stone and or for an agent sales career, right? The wider you grow your team, the more you can outsource, the more profit and sustainable it will become. Everyone thinks that, you know, if I have 5 team members or if not more, I'm going to be less profitable. It's not. You actually do more and it becomes so much easier. Grow your team wide. And it's not necessarily always with full-time employees. I believe you do need a couple of full-time. If you aspire to do 50 plus sales, crack that $1 million mark, that 1.2, 1.5, 1.8 million dollars. The best way of doing it is with at least 3 full-time people and then hiring part-time people that can actually and outsourced services to assist you in your business. Like one of the great outsourced services that a number of our team members are doing is 4 to 5 hours a week of telemarketing of established clientele from their database and doing the warm nurturing calls and some follow-ups. And people are getting phenomenal results with that because that's part of their team. It's outsourced, but they know their team intimately, and they're in the same village, i.e. environment, and they're able to achieve some amazing results. So I encourage that. Be a genuine and generous leader. Invest in your team and they will become an investment for you. Which is just, it goes without saying. So who makes up your A team? Right? So immediate team, outsourced team. So who is part of your A team? Right? So it's just not the immediate people that you obviously mentor and coach and your CSMs and your buyers. It's your immediate team, of course. It's your outsourced teams. It's your suppliers. Like one of your best A team members is your photographer, your videographer, your boards people. Like I wouldn't be waiting for them to take you out to lunch. I'd be taking them out to lunch, to breakfast, catching up with them. They get to see so many other real estate agents in the field, right? They know who's doing what, who's great, who might be moving, what PAs might be moving, right? So I'd be really intimate and have them as my best friends, which we do with our industry partners. And guys, it goes both ways. We do it because it's in our DNA. We don't do it because we think we're going to get something back. But it's in our DNA. So get intimate with your suppliers. Professional services, i.e. accountants, solicitor, your banks, your human resources partner, your technology platforms, your trainers, every human that touches and supports your business makes up your A team. So start documenting and understanding who they are because it is important. Your bookkeeper, and I know many of our team have amazing relationships with our bookkeeping Beyond Figures Bookkeeping, and the title, the name of her business is Beyond Figures Bookkeeping, and they do go beyond. They are instrumental in helping our team members perform and obviously to be profitable and to take care of the financial side of their business and having it prepared for obviously their accountants. Okay, hiring the right people for the right roles at the right time. It's not a matter of if, but when. Hire well ahead of the curve. So don't wait to get to 50 properties and then you're scrambling to hire your first person. If you're at 25, I'd be hiring, and you want to get to that 50 and beyond, I'd be hiring at 25. Yes, you'll likely take a financial hit, but it doesn't need to be a big hit, right, at all. And you should be able to manage that because the reality is, if you're doing 25 sales and you hire someone, an extra 7, 8 sales, depending on your splits and so forth, will cover the wages for that person and or part-time, of course. And I love this image, and not wanting to go off title, but this image says a lot, right? When I look at a one-team model, right, I see this image and I go, this team means business. And of course, we know it's a stock photo, but there's no chairs there. It's stand-up meeting. They're there to work, right? So that's the type, that's the type of environment that I'd want to be surrounding with. Some good performers, high performance in inverted commas. Good to me, being good humans and delivering great service is high performance. But that's the sort of team that I would want to aspire to be working with. Okay, A relentless focus on high value work. Have a good look at this image. Avoid the fatal trap of falling into busy work, right? And there's an important story about this and the next slide, right? Hiring for the task, not necessarily for the position. Has everyone seen the Formula One change of tires? I know my twin brother's on the call, and he's a absolute fanatic on the Formula One. But he's on the phone. I can see he's on the phone, but that's okay. So the fastest turnaround in this pit crew, does anyone know what the record is? Of the fastest turnaround in Formula One history. Someone should be able to chat GPT it, right? We don't Google anymore, we chat GPT it, but I think it's about 1.2, 1.3 seconds. So I want everyone to really think about, right? We went to the Thrive conference last week at Byron Bay. It actually showed a video of the fastest one. And the adjoining team, when they saw them actually break the record, obviously their competitor do their changeover, they were walking away just shaking their hand going, that was the fastest thing they've ever seen. But more importantly, sometimes we can learn a lot but from other industries. So there's a well-documented case where Great Ormond Street Hospital, GOSH, in London looked to Formula One pit crew operations to redesign how they perform handovers from surgery to intensive care. So there's a really good story behind this. At GOSH, they realized that they were losing patients. Patients were dying from the ICU when they were being operated, and then handovers to intensive care. So they're in surgery and then going to the ICU. So they realized that their success rate of getting someone who they successfully operated and then getting them to the ICU, they were losing a lot of people, right? And it was heartbreaking for them. So the good people at GOSH looked outside of the medical industry and said, hey, we've got to get better at this handover, this changeover, because we're losing people's lives. So they brought a Formula One team. You should chat GPT. It's a great story. And what the Formula One team did, they observed the surgery. So they brought everyone, the tire changers, the mechanics and all that. They observed the surgery. They saw the whole process, and then they totally pulled it apart, right? And they saw from the outside in, they saw where all the moving parts were missing and where they could improve. And just that alone, they've lost count of how many lives that saved because they looked at their process. And here we are talking about spending some time. Imagine the different aspect of why they're looking at their structure and their processes. They're there to save lives. So I encourage you, it's worth the investment, guys, to sit down and look at your processes to see what you can uncover to make it more efficient to be able to achieve your results. So it's a really great story. Hire a PA for your PA. And I know I said not to use that terminology, but internally you can, but externally you shouldn't, not to your client facing. Don't get your PA that you're paying $30, $40, $50 an hour to be folding letterbox drops and stuffing envelopes and doing really mundane tasks. Hire a PA, keep your high value team members doing high value work and allow them to delegate low value tasks and be responsible for those juniors. So when you build your effective business unit, and we've reframed it to a director's E.B.U, I want you to think your team leader, team manager, and it could be your client services manager, a dual role, is there to protect you from the day-to-day stuff. And this is where a lot of lead agents fall down. It's not your responsibility as a lead agent and, obviously the business owner, it's not your responsibility to organize if that person's away sick or that person in the role or the suppliers let someone down for you to fix it. That's your CSM, that's your team manager, that's your team leader in essence. It's really important to understand that the more you delegate to your team leader and empower them to manage the team, the more you're going to be able to build an extremely profitable, sustainable, and really enjoyable business. And to obviously alleviate the burnout that we're hearing so much. Okay, an example, 18. And again, I always say 50 to 100 and 100 plus sales, right? So full-time lead agent, these could be your full-time people. And again, you don't need to bring them all at once over a period of time. Lead agent, the client services, team manager, buyer's agent, team assistant, overflow, right? So again, understand these are the type of roles. We have found a team of 4 full-time is probably capacity. Like we've spoken to a number of high-performing teams, and what they found is as soon as you bring more full-time team members, it starts to break down, and clients, believe it or not, clients' delivery of service starts to diminish, and there's too many moving parts. So again, I'm a big believer in benchmarking, and I'm a big believer in the predictability of numbers. If that's what I'm hearing, that the $2-3 million agents, GCI, 100 plus sales agents, sellers are doing, right? And I remember when myself and Maria were listing and selling, we were selling about 120 homes, but we have our E.B.U. Bless you, Arthur. We did have our effective business unit. We had Arthur, and we also had Michelle at the time, right? So there was 4 of us really pumping out the sales, but we didn't get to the 5th person, but we did have outsourced items. So part-time letterbox droppers, telemarketing team, OFI host, that's a big one. I can't wait to share at Black Salt how you can really leverage OFI to obviously get a lot of your weekends back. Social media specialist, VA, database manager, and admin. And there's a few others as well. But that's a typical director's E.B.U. Finding your A players. Now, I'll probably hear it more often now than I have in the past. And that is, people don't want to work anymore, right? You can't find great people anymore. What generation are we at? Is it the millennial? The Z. We're up to Z. Yeah. Are you Gen Z?
No.
No. Millennial, right? Millennials, well, they started the trigger. Now you got Gen Zs. Guys, there are some fantastic people out there. You've got to obviously find them, and there's more of them than less of them. I truly believe it. What you put out there is what you get. If you're turning over staff all the time, and sometimes, when we point the finger one way, there's 3 fingers pointing back at us. We've got to take personal responsibility. You just got to find your groove. Now, yes, the environment's changed. Yes, the work from home's changed. Yes, this has changed. But you know what? It's changed for the better, right? So you will find the right people. You've just got to be patient. But once you know what you want and build the structure in place, I'm telling you, everything falls into place. And once you know who you need, the RAS comes into play, the reticular activating system. So many times I've been speaking to agents, and we talk about making their first hires and so forth. And then a week or 2 later, can you believe it? I found someone. Do you know what I mean? Again, you've got to go through the motions to find the right person, because there is this phenomena, recruiting pures. I won't take the acronym. It was shared to me by Bradley Brown, who's the franchisor of the Fletcher's Group here in Melbourne. And PURE stands for Previously Undetected Recruitment Errors. And team, everyone goes through it. Everyone does. I don't know of any business owner that's been long-term that has not hired a PURE, and and not being obviously critical of the individual. Some people are just not suited to the role. Some people interview really well and then they don't perform that well. Or a lot of the times, the lead agent has not given great direction and great structure in the first place to retain good people. So don't procrastinate or live in hope and a willful blindness mode. Act quickly. And what I mean by that, sometimes we say, oh, far, it took me so long to get this individual person. If I lose them now, what am I going to do? But it's probably worse doing that. We live by one mantra, right, here at Agents Agency. And a few years back, when we rebranded to Agents Agency, a lot of people know that we're going through a growth phase and so forth. And we needed to keep our communication with our team and our culture and so forth really visible. And this is what we stand for. We do great work with great people. You know, yes, integrity, yes, professionalism, yes, this, yes, that. But this encapsulates what it is for us. We do great work with great people because that's all we want to do. And if we do great work with great people, all as a team, and we're on the same page, that's going to filter through to our clients. It's going to filter through to our buyers, our sellers, our tenants, our landlords. Okay. The 1649 remuneration and bonus structures. How are we going for time, Arthur?
It's 20 to 1.
21. Okay. Are we still good to go? Thumbs up for the payment structure. It's a big one. Everyone's good? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The rule of 1649. When you take into consideration annual leave, public holidays, and entitlements, the billable hours of work per employee per annum is 1649. And that's if you get 100% capacity from them, which we know is not likely, nor can you expect that because it's just not doable, right? And this is the reason why, right? Salary and add-on extras, superannuation, work cover, payroll, tax for those people who obviously go past a particular threshold, leave loading, amenities, training, gifts, car allowances, phone allowance, computer, right? So when you do hire someone, it is important to understand there are some added investment and extras, as I say here, to the base salary. And you need to allow 20 to 25% depending on the individual, right? And when you do the maths, always go back to maths because this isn't an exercise to not hire people and be frightened of hiring people. This is an exercise to understand the value that they bring to the table and your investment. So what's going to be your return on investment? So for example, someone on a 75,000 salary, we need to add about 20% of additional extras to that, $90,000. So it comes up, you know, out of the business's revenue, $90,000. Divide that by 1649, which is obviously billable hours in inverted commas, works out to about $55 per hour, right? Now at 80% productivity, it's 13, 19 hours, it's about $70 per hour, okay? There's a reason behind my madness why I do this. And then, of course, you go down to the award, 1 year plus experience. I think that may have changed. This was from the beginning of the year's slide, so I think it's slightly higher, but it won't be too much of a variable. It's about $40 per hour at 80% productivity at $51. So anyone that you bring into your team that's on a base salary of 57 odd thousand, they're going to be costing you the investment that you're looking for is $50+ per hour. So here's the tip, right? Make sure your team meetings are productive. It's a really big one, right? Imagine having 4 team members and your team meetings are going for 3 hours. That probably just cost you around, $600 for those 3 hours. So understand, and it's not to, I don't want you to think scarcity or shrinkage mentality. It's just to be aware, right? Reinforce high value work. So that's why I'm saying to you, when you bring in someone doing this, right, a salary of $57,000, right, an assistant, and you've got them folding letterbox drops when you can get a junior come in or a after school person to do it, as long as you're structured and it's at half the price, question that. Hiring VAs, virtual assistants, plugging into our systems, like there's a plug for us, like that just makes sense, commercial sense, right? Protect your commissions too, right? Because, there is the rule of economics 101. Economics 101 means that the market always finds its level and its balance. And if people could do, if agents could make a profit selling property at lower commissions, I'm telling you, they'll be lower. But we can't, because market finds or water always finds its level. So understand that rule about economics 101, right? There is a certain amount that the market is prepared to pay over the norm, and then there's always the market that's going to want to pay less. You just got to make sure that you're in the sweet spot, in the middle, or in the high end when you're choosing your clients. But that's another story. Okay, remuneration and bonuses based on break-even targets. This is something that we've used since the beginning. A lot of external organizations don't do this. I even heard recently that some people are paying commission only to their E.B.U, their immediate team members. That doesn't sit well for me. I think if you're hiring someone and they're your employee, you need to pay them respectfully and accordingly, right? Because they are your team members. So I really am a really big one on this. But what I am big on is understanding your break-even targets. Whilst you bring team members on, it is a business. So we need to be making a profit. We need to understand that bonuses need to be paid under the structure. We're a sales business, so it is the expectation for most people to be paid on success. And obviously, the better the E.B.U does, everyone should share in those profits and that revenue. What we need to understand, your out-of-pocket investment will be around 25 to 48% of the bonuses paid, right? So what I mean by that is obviously your client gifts and a whole bunch of other stuff that E.B.U costs, and obviously marketing and stuff like that. So here is an example and also an understanding of what $10,000 of your profit actually looks like, right? Because if you don't put someone on, right, let's just pretend you don't put someone on and you make $100,000 worth of profit, right? If you paid someone a bonus of $10,000, right, as a bonus, and you're on a tax bracket of 35%, and a lot of agents are on a 49% tax bracket, your out of pocket is actually only $6,500 or $5,000. So you're not paying someone $10,000. The business is, but really out of your own pocket as a lead agent, it's $6,500. So it's a hard one for some business owners to comprehend. But you know, they sometimes say to me, I paid out $200,000 in bonuses. And I said, okay, it's only cost you 100 grand. And for that 100 grand, what have you got? And they look at me really funny, because obviously to pay out 200 grand in bonuses, I'm telling you, they're in the 48% tax bracket. I say to them, I said, because if you didn't pay it and you did all the work, and likely you wouldn't have, because you wouldn't have reached that sort of volume, you're only 100 grand out of pocket. So what is that bringing you in return? I'm hoping that makes sense. It sometimes takes a little bit for people to understand that, but that's what your out of pocket expenses are. At the end of the day, the person who gets a cut of every cent of our profit, every dollar of our profit, is the tax man. So they contribute a little bit to your investment. Okay, break even point. I'm going to be really, really quick on this. The written GCI required to cover the E.B.U's fixed and variable expenses, including wages and office agency splits. So, for example, if total expenses includes your salaries, obviously personal salaries, reach $400,000 per annum, and the agent has a 50-50 comp split with the office, the break even is $800,000. So you've got to write $800,000 before you, and that's the break even point. So bonus remuneration example, $200,000 GCI per quarter. Team members, based on their roles, longevity, and contribution, can be allocated a percentage of the bonus over that amount, and or a smaller percentage of the entire amount. The latter only paid after a break even is achieved. So, for example, if this was a real life example, right, and the break even point was $200,000, and I'm on a 50-50 split with my office, and we ended up doing an extra $100,000 for that quarter, I know $50,000 will remain with me as the lead agent, and then I might give 10% of that to my team members, 5%. It just depends. Again, there's not a one size fits all, and it always has to be based on the individual circumstances, the market, and the setup of each individual agent, and whether they're directors of their own E.B.U and their own brand, or agents within an office. Aspects to consider: break-even points must be reviewed every 6 months. Bonus money calculations must take into consideration the GCI split applicable to the office, right? So you really need to understand then that an office is entitled, if you're an agent working for an office, I'm telling you right now, they are entitled to a split. We operate an office here. Like, we have to pay for everything here. We need revenue to come in to pay for this office. The agents that work here, for those that know AA, are not on the same split as an AA split external to us, because we have overheads. They pay more, and it needs to be that way because it's fair and equitable. So it needs to be a win-win, because at the end of the day, everyone needs to win. So there is never a one-size-fits-all, as I mentioned. And of course, not every team player has to be on the same bonus structure, right? So again, look at what you do and then reward respectively. I know people who have a prospector, and all that prospector does is door knock and letterbox drop for OFIs, Magic 25s, and they get a bonus, a dollar amount for every listing that's generated in the particular patches that they work and all the leads that they get through. So that's how they get paid. They don't necessarily get paid from a revenue per quarter. The E.B.U annual business needs to be in profit and cash flow positive. Okay. Oh, did we get there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mate. I screamed through that, didn't we? Okay, awesome. All right. Last comment: the courage of leadership is giving others the chance to succeed, even though you bear the responsibility for getting things done. Okay, so again, team, running an E.B.U, I'll stop my share now. Running a team and an effective business unit is one of the most rewarding aspects of being a real estate agent. If you make the decision, and I'm encouraging everyone to make the decision to be in real estate for the rest of your life. Once you make the decision to be in real estate for the rest of your life, the next question you need to ask is, I'm going to be in real estate for the rest of my life. What does my business need to look like then? And then you might have a vision for the type of remuneration that you want, the profit that you want, the type of responsibility you want in regards to how big your team you want to grow. Some people just want a small team. Some people, you know what, I'd like to have 6, 7, 8 people in my team, and that's going to help me achieve my profit goals. Some people want more lifestyle. Some people are young in real estate and they've got energy and they want to work 6, maybe not 7 days a week. Some people might be in their twilight years and in their 50s or 60s. And they're thinking, you know what, I don't want to be doing 100 hours a week. I want to be taking 25 weekends off a year, and design the business that you want depending on where you are. But once you make that decision to be in real estate for the rest of your life, and you ask the question of yourself, what does my business need to look like for that to happen and to get joy out of it? You can reverse engineer it and start putting all the pieces together. And when you do that, the reticular activating system activates, and suddenly solutions appear. And you'll be drawn to those solutions because you've made a goal and it's your aspiration to achieve. Look, as I said, this is one of my favorite presentations in building an effective business unit. I've seen more people succeed in real estate and have longevity in real estate because of it. The coin and the bank, as we say, is phenomenal. But more importantly, it gives you that work-life balance. So over to you guys. Any questions?
I think it's important to ask if anyone in the session today is doing something similar, and have they found, success in it, or any obstacles, I guess. Maybe we can throw that up there.
Yeah. So if anyone has, actually, that's a great question, Arthur. If anyone has hired someone and they're challenged or don't know how to set it up, it's a great question. I see. or who's done it before and said, I'll never do it again. Yeah. But guys, it is important, and I can see most of the people on at the moment are our team, agency team members. Thank you, Steph. But look, the directors E.B.U is where it's at. That's where there's the big shift. It has been around for a while, but a lot of people haven't been thinking of it correctly. A lot of people are bringing in team members and then making it a stepping stone to become a sales agent, and that's where the biggest mistake is. Because I want you to think it takes a long time to train someone to upskill them in your way, and of course, that delivery of service. And if you're always, and 2 years, if someone only stays for you for 2 years and then they're ready to start their own, mate, that's quick. My suggestion for those directors who want to have their own directors E.B.U, but they get approached from an individual that wants to be a sales agent, what we've done, we've let them be a sales agent from the beginning. And we've held their hand through every single process of becoming a buyer's agent, of doing great buyer work, of being a great lister, all those from the outset. Because there's so many tools available, and we let them be a standalone agent straight away. Yes, they do. They used to come and support us at our open for inspections, but that's for them to get trained while we're at open for inspections. But they were standalone agents generating their own leads from the beginning. So yeah, all good. Arthur, anything to close off?
No, I've trained many in letterbox dropping, Manos, but over the years. But no, I'm just kidding. No, great session again. I mean, that's where it's at. I'll just raise a point. And this happened quite a long time ago. But there was a chap no longer with us, but he never used to take holidays because he was always fearful of leaving and then leaving maybe a listing or two with a colleague. And I remember the conversation we had, and again, importantly, they're no longer with us, but the conversation was, but if I leave them a listing and I go on holiday, that's great. I'm happy to share a 20% or 30% cut from a sale. But what happens with the business arising out of that? I don't want to lose those opportunities. Why should they get it? I said, well, they're standing there. So that's the kind of conversations you have. But if you follow this practice and you've netted it all up in your E.B.U, well, that just eliminates those thoughts.
It does. No, but it's an extremely valid point. It's an extremely valid point, and hence why you build longevity in your business when you bring on team members that want to be part of your team for the long term, not the short term, and not for a short term training ground to jump over to be a sales agent.
Yeah, perfect.
Team, thank you so much again for joining in. As always, I extremely value your time and your attendance, and I hope you got some value. Of course, hit me up for a phone call if anyone's got any challenge, if anyone wants to take a little bit of a deeper dive on break-even points and so forth. I can make any Excel spreadsheet look sexy. All right. Be good, guys. Take care, and hope to see you all at Black Salt. It's going to be a phenomenal 2 days. And of course, for our AA members, the gala, which is going to be great. So, all right, team, be good. Enjoy the rest of your day.